Good morning, Guardians. Briar Rabbit here. Today marks just 17 more days of waiting until the release of Rise of Iron, and I gotta tell you, I'm really starting to think I might pick this one up. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today, a lot of news, a little bit of speculation, so let's just jump right into it. The big news today is that Bungie announced an MLG sponsored match that will be live streamed on Tuesday, September 13th at 10 a.m. Pacific. The match will be hosted by MLG and air on both MLG.tv and on Twitch. The teams will feature 12 of your favorite PvP streamers from the Destiny directory. And it's interesting for two very distinct reasons. First of all, obviously the partnership of Destiny PvP and MLG is very exciting. Tournament play for Destiny is huge, both for the popularity of Destiny and to grow the community. It also is going to add to the legitimacy of Destiny's competitive side. It may bring sponsors for top PvP players. It brings attention to the Destiny directory on Twitch, which is great for both viewers and for Destiny streamers, and it will probably lead to more competitive players joining the Destiny community. Some people are a little bit concerned about that because we have such a positive community in the Destiny directory. Any change to that can be a little bit frightening. But because we have such a strong and positive community already, I expect if we welcome these players with open arms, they will not only get to enjoy the community we've created, but also get to add to it, which is really exciting. Now, the other reason I find this story to be very interesting is because the event is happening on the 13th. That's 1 week before the release of Rise of Iron on the 20th. Now, if you remember past DLCs, we've always seen a special event happen for the week leading up to the release of the DLC. For the Dark Below, it was swords being added to Patrol. For the Taken King, we saw the PvP map preview. This time, could it be that we get private matches a week early? We actually talked a little bit about this on the Planet Destiny podcast last night. Patrick brought it up, and then when I was kind of thinking about this MLG event, it really supported his theory. If we were to get private matches a week before the 20th on the 13th, it would allow the MLG sponsored event and all the participants included in it to actually use their own characters instead of having to use a dev build, which would be much more fun to watch, I think, if each one of these characters was actually named the person that they're supposed to be, as opposed to Bungie 1, Bungie 2, Bungie 3, Bungie 4, like we've seen in some preview builds. So I really do think that maybe we're going to get private matches a week early. This would make sense because you don't need Rise of Iron to get private matches. Everybody gets it, whether you have vanilla Destiny only or just the Dark Below or have all of the DLCs. So this would be easy for Bungie to implement, and it would add a lot of excitement to the lead up to launch for Rise of Iron. Speaking of tournaments, if you are attending PAX this weekend, you will be able to participate in a Destiny tournament of your own. Bungie will be hosting the PAX Open, a Rumble Supremacy tournament on Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, where winners can actually earn loot from the Bungie store. This is very interesting to me for a few reasons as well. First of all, this will be the first time that we get to see Rumble Supremacy, a game mode that I'm personally very interested in. It sounds a lot of fun. Also, it should be open for private matches. This is how they will get this tournament going. Also, it'll get community members involved in a tournament. In the promotional materials for Rise of Iron, we've seen a lot of Lord Saladin's flaming axe. Now, it turns out Bungie actually had a real axe commissioned and built life size. They got the guys at Men at Arms, the YouTube channel, to create this thing. They made a video about it. It's a very interesting watch. Highly recommend you guys check this out. Men at Arms have also done other video game weapons in real life. I believe they did the Legend of Zelda Master Sword, a couple of Final Fantasy weapons, some very cool stuff. They've forged this stuff out of real metal, make real weapons out of these, but they're scaled to their video game counterparts, so they're always ridiculous and they're always fun. Yesterday, we discussed some of the news that came out of a Game Informer interview of Bungie's Chris Barrett and Scott Taylor. In that interview, Scott said there would not be any weapon tuning changes with the release of Rise of Iron. Well, it turns out community manager Cosmo hopped onto the Crucible Playbook Reddit to say this, and I quote, "Wanted to clarify this as there was some confusion over the question and Scott misspoke. There will be a weapon tuning change with Rise of Iron." So this is actually very interesting news. I was a little bit disappointed yesterday that there would not be weapon tuning changes with Rise of Iron. There was a little bit of vagueness to his statements that maybe it would come shortly after, but now Cosmo's out there saying yes, there will indeed be weapon tuning changes with Rise of Iron. This makes me happy, not just because it's a good opportunity to balance some weapons that I think are a little out of whack right now, but I actually like when they do pretty wide weapon tuning changes to change the meta of Destiny. Not only are we going to get brand new weapons with Rise of Iron, but hopefully new subclasses of weapons, new archetypes of weapons will become more prominent, giving us a chance to bring some old favorites back into play. Low rate of fire auto rifles and pulse rifles come to mind, hand cannons come to mind. You know, there's a lot of different things they could be doing here, and a lot of weapons that I'm not using currently that I'd love to be using in the Crucible. And I would love to see some changes here. Whenever they make changes to the meta of the game, it just kind of adds a little bit of interest into not only PvE play, but PvP play as well. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. If you see anything that you'd like to see featured or discussed in an upcoming episode of Good Morning Guardians, make sure you tweet me the info or leave a comment below. Thank you very much for watching. Hit that like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.